We are back, and today's task is the walls. With the floor down, Liam will guide us through installing and paneling, starting with the tricky sliding and back doors. I have to tell you, I'm learning a ton from Liam, and I hope you too. I wonder where all his ingenious ideas come from. You'll soon see what I'm talking about. Liam just doesn't find a solution to everything. He does it with such precision and high standards. The level of detail on the wall panels you'll witness today is rare.
Decided to insulate the door now because I'm just waiting on a few things to arrive, solar panels and things, because that's the next job that I really want to do. But we know that there's no electrics going in the door here, so it makes sense to go ahead and just insulate the space. It goes in fairly easily. It will only go up to a certain point, so I'm going to push it up to right here inside the panel, and the same on this side. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to insulate these parts at all around here. I will be able to insulate around the window because I'm going to frame this out so that the wall panel runs flat from this point past the window with a frame in the window, and then we'll fix on the top panel here. The insulation I'm using here is insulating plastic bottle insulation. This is a good use of waste plastic, I suppose, and it's got similar properties to sheep's wool. Not quite as good, but it is a lot cheaper. So I just want to show you where I got to yesterday, because I didn't film the second half of yesterday. I think the film shows me creating a panel up to about this height here, because the original idea was to have a shelf lower down where the van door stepped in. But after building it and wasting a lot of time doing it, I realised that it wasn't the best way. Because it was better to have the shelf just underneath the window here, and a full board width pretty much goes from the bottom of the door, which the full board is about 12-20. It goes from the bottom of the door to the bottom of this shelf. So not only does it give me a nice way of joining the two panels together without trying to hide the joint in the plywood, it helps with following the contours of the van door as well, because if I try to follow the window and the door here and here, the angle of the wood coming down is quite different to the angle of the wood coming up from the bottom of the door. So for that reason, this break, this shelf in the middle helps really well. There won't be much of the shelf exposed once I've finished, because the board will go over the face of this plastic just to make it look a little bit better. So probably you just have about an inch showing after that, which I might sand later on and give it a stain of some sort, just to act as a nice break between the two painted surfaces. It took me time to get these shapes.
Oh, look at the level of detail. That's really good.
Yeah, the only issue I had is I turned these the other way, because the only problem with that is because if you look here, the door was just going too far. Just doesn't touch it here.
Yeah.
Have a look at this track. See how close it is to the door.
Oh yeah.
when I had them this way, but when they're the correct way that they were, the door goes further and then that rubs the panel. Okay. So eventually it'll just rub the paint. But the problem with this is the door doesn't lock, so I don't really know what to do because it's always going to hit that. Maybe I just let it hit it. It's still loose down there, but. So what I'm going to be doing today is insulating the rest of this and around the window, scribing in another board to screw over the face of this. You'll see I put this rubber isolation strip here. I had it left over from another job. It acts almost like it's like a heat resistant pad, just to help with the transfer of the heat from the metal through to the plywood on the face. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. First of all, I've got to take this panel back off because I was just test fitting it yesterday. So I'm going to take it off, put a bit more insulation along the top section here, and put some glue and screw it in. Right, so I've just finished with this panel. You'll see that just before I put each screw in, I was just squirting in the holes with a little bit of the polyurethane glue that expands a little bit. I wouldn't normally do that, but I was just hoping that once I put filler over these screws, it might help stop the filler popping out. Just it might make it a bit stronger, I'm hoping, around where the timber and the screw join. Because it's only 6mm ply, so obviously it's got quite a bit of flex. I had a slight issue in this area just here. What was happening is as I was sliding the door open, it was just about catching the rail for the sliding door. In this area, I've just put another screw to pull the 6mm panel in a little bit more. That is the beauty of using 6mm ply. You can just get it to flex where you need to. But what I did do is make a hole big enough just to put the nozzle of the expanding foam gun in there and squirt a load of foam behind the panel, so that the screw's actually tightening into something. So once that expanding foam solidifies behind, it'll add a bit more grab, but it will also stop the panel moving around in that area. So yeah, that panel is done now, and I'm going to move on to the next panel.
the result. As you can see now, the door stays locked in place when it's opened.
Right, so today I'm going to be boarding over this door. We've been held up slightly with the solar panels, so just finding other things to do while we wait for them to arrive. So I'm going to be insulating and paneling this door and framing around the window. I'm going to follow this line around here because this is the part that makes contact with the door rubbers. So you want to avoid putting panels over here, but we follow this line all the way through down to the bottom around lock mechanisms. I'll have to create a piece of timber in here just to fill this gap from the side, and then it will follow this line all the way up here, all the way to the top, filling all the gaps with insulation behind, and also making sure to cut out for this button here which unlocks the doors. Trying to get the shape of the wood onto the shape of the door onto the plywood.
Lovely day to work here, right? Not bad. Chilly.
Yeah, a little bit cold.
So I've been working on the system design for the plumbing. I love these things. I do it.
Frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, so this panel is all done now. I'm quite happy with how it's turned out actually. It took quite a bit of trial and error, like installing it, uninstalling it. But yeah, I think it fits pretty good. I'll show you now. So what I do eventually is fill over the screws with a flexible filler once it's been painted with one coat, and hopefully it will just look like a nice smooth finished wall. I've put a little hole in here to be able to unlock and lock the arm here. I've put an infill along here because the window sits at a different angle to the panel, so what I've been left with is a gap along here and a gap down the side here and here, which I will also fill in with a piece of timber. And once it's all painted and filled, hopefully it will look like one piece. So now I'm onto the other door. As you can see, I've already insulated it and stuck the pieces of rubber where the screw holes are going to be. This is to help with the transfer of heat from the metal through to the wooden panel. There was one issue which I found a solution for. So if you look at this, this is the lever to open the back door from the inside, and as you can see, it's quite low down. If we left a hole in the panel here, it's going to be quite far into the hole and also quite low down in the van. So what I've done is I went onto Amazon actually and found a lever which is designed for a recliner sofa, a replacement lever, and I've made it fit. I've basically drilled out this grommet here, run it down the back of the panel through here, and I've cut a slot in the metal here which I will finish with some red oxide primer just to protect it from rusting. And connected it to the lever here. As you can see, I've just strapped it on with some 2.5mm copper and twisted it. It seems really solid, there's no movement there. And what I've done here is just slotted it in, and I'm going to also wrap some cables around this part, tighten it up so that this also won't move. As you can see, when you pull the lever, it now moves that. This little bit of movement you see here will be gone once I strap that in. So this will then be mounted up here at high level and give us a nice easy way to open the back door.